We get to prepare our breath, our bodies. We start to warm the breath. It's cool when it enters the nose and then it warms and nice and warm for the lungs. So we'll take that breath in through the nose, exhale out of the nose or the mouth. And while we're taking these long, deep breaths in and out, this helps us ground ourselves. So let's focus on the feet. Do we see that the feet are parallel to each other? And that there's no effort really here of holding up our legs when we have our ankles under the knees. Everything's all lined up and supported. So staying with the breath, focusing on the breath, it's really helpful. The studies on mindfulness show that we spend 50% or more of our time in the virtual worlds of the past or the future. And then we're missing out on what's happening right here, right now. And one of the best ways to come back to the present moment is to focus on breath. So when we're bringing awareness to the breath, let's note, is the breath shallow? Is the breath deep? Even closing our eyes so we can go inside and tune in. Is the breath jagged? Smooth? Simply observe. And along with noticing the quality of the breath, can we now start to take a body scan and see how the body's feeling today? And noticing any areas that you might be holding tension. And that can be obviously neck and shoulders, but other hidden areas, the belly, the pelvic floor, sometimes in the jaw. So notice different areas, even in the gluteals, we can clench there. So feet, notice anywhere that might be holding and gripping, and can you relax that area? And then use the exhale to begin to release and relax the area as much as possible. So we release the exhale with this word of letting go, this little mantra of letting go. Inhaling, bringing in as much awareness with the breath, and then exhale, allow the breath to slow down, and then it will slow down the mind. So a slower breath triggers a slower mind, and then we're shifting into parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest. So begin to deepen the breath on the inhale, and then exhale out completely. Now let's think about a belly breath. So as we inhale, the belly rises. And as we exhale, the belly gently pulls back toward the spine and up toward the ribs a bit. Inhale to soften the belly, allow it to expand. And then exhale, pull in and up. So as we inhale, receiving energy, we know we yawn to get more energy. So that energy is called prana that rises with the breath. And then exhale and just empty and let go. A couple more, just continue to breathe deeply into the belly, and then exhaling out that which no longer serves us. Worry, concern, anxiety. Inhaling up, peacefulness, and exhaling out and letting go. Now let's add some arm flow. So you can open your eyes and take our hands beside of us, and let's inhale the arms up and overhead. And as they come up, turn your chin up toward the sky. Gaze is traveling up toward the ceiling. Finger pads touch. And then exhale a big wide arc. And as we take the hands back to our sides, let's tuck the chin to the chest. And you might even scoot forward here so the spine can lengthen. And again, inhale, palms up, arms reach up and look up, finger pads touch. Lengthen the spine, and then exhale, big wide arc, press out, lower your hands to your hips and tuck your chin. Nice, head floats all the way down. And then again, inhale, synchronizing movement with breath, arms overhead, looking up, opening the thread of the throat, and then exhaling, hands to the sides. Let the shoulders plug down in their sockets and tuck the chin there. Good. Now this time, inhaling, arms are going to come up and overhead, and we'll exhale the hands to the heart space. Good job. From here, we're just going to take the arms out in front of us, almost like a little breaststroke, and then open wide. Take that stretch across your chest. Good. And then bring the hands back into namaste at the heart. Open up a little breaststroke. Now this time, use your core, and we're going to lean back and find that chair. And it's going to support support the upper back, and then let the arms float back with gravity. Feel the weight of the arms stretch the front of the chest. It's going to work the core a little bit, but opening up here, counterposing rounded forwardness and stretching into the pectoralis muscles. Good. Now, can you use your tummy muscles and come on up? Hands back to the heart. And we're going to come up and overhead, interlacing our hands and just press those arms up and overhead. Hands are interlaced. Good. And then we're going to take the hands back behind our head and very gently guide the chin toward the chest here. Full breath in. If it's too much weight, back that off. You can always take the hands away and just tuck your chin. But can we lift the bottom ribs up off the pelvis and really sit tall? Good. Take a moment to let everything release because we do store a lot in the neck and shoulders. Nice. Another breath. Now we're going to release our hands to the lap and take the chin parallel. Now this next one, we're going to take the chin up, open the mouth, and then hum. We'll do that 5 times. It's going to help stimulate the thyroid. So sitting tall, chin up, open your mouth, and then hum. Hum. Good. Again, open, and then close your mouth and hum. 3 like that on your timing. Hum. Hum. 1 more. Hum. Nice. And then go ahead and tuck your chin to your chest. So great, that humming for stimulating the thyroid. Lifting and lowering the chin helps. And then we're going to come back to neutral. So to free up a little bit more mobility, to be able to really turn in the neck and the shoulders nicely side to side, we're going to take our hitchhikers. So we'll start with our left thumb out. And we do this for a variety of reasons. It opens up the chest and all these channels along the neck and shoulders. You can really do these every day. So the thumb is up, that's our hitchhiker thumb, and we're going to watch the thumb come behind us. So take that out 1 finger at a time, keeping the eye gaze on the thumb. And now just pull that hand back as far as you can, it suits you. And we're going to look over the left shoulder now. And then taking a nod down toward the chest and then chin up toward the ceiling. Again, working in the neck and shoulders there. Good. Now let's look back over the left hand. And where do you feel that stretch? Along your left bicep. Pull it back and let's bring it in. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now while we're here, we're going to open and close the fist so we get blood flow all the way to our fingertips. So you may have a metabolic challenge like I do. I have Hashimoto's, the autoimmune that attacks my thyroid, and my hands are always cold. So I like to move my fingers around, just get that blood flowing down there. And it works the tendons and ligaments in the hands, helps us not have arthritis. Let's stretch our shoulders. So we're going to crisscross it over and use the wrist and the right hand to help assist. Roll the shoulder back and down and breathe here. Feeling that wonderful stretch. Good, creating space in the shoulder, creating circulation. And then we just release that and give that hand a break. We'll open up through the whole right side now. So watch your thumb as we open 1 finger at a time. Great job. And then just pull that all the way back. Look over the shoulder, feel the stretch in your inner arm, and then we're going to turn our head over the right shoulder, or left shoulder, sorry, and tuck your chin. Lift it up, tuck it and lift it. And notice what you feel and hear in the neck when you do that. And let's just look over the right shoulder now. Really pull that hand back, nicely stretching into the inner arm. That's your bicep area, into the chest. And let's bring it back 1 hand at a time, or 1 finger at a time. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Creating that circulation now. Open and close, open and close. Good, little sparkly hands, getting that blood flow. Great for arthritis. A couple more. And then keeping that arm up, let's go ahead and use the left hand to assist and create space now in the opposite shoulder. Get a really good stretch in there. Nice. Oh, if it's painful, back out. Only come in that comfortable range of motion. Good. Now let's release that and take our shoulder rolls forward. We don't often do this. We can roll them forward. It's just that we do this so much during our day. I really like to focus on the backwards. But this is a range of motion the shoulders need to take. It's going to release fluid in the joint. and then come up and back. Yeah, now really squeeze those shoulder blades together, firm that up in the back, stretch it in the front. And now we're going to take this in the swimming motion, which means we're going to crisscross in a front freestyle type range of motion and make a little twist there. Let's get the ribs flowing. Synovial fluid lives in that joint, just waiting to be released. Good, swim, swim, swim. Good, forward and across, little swimming motion. Nice, waking up those shoulders this morning. And then hands on the lap, we'll just rest right back into constructive rest pose. But notice how this feels all up in the upper body. And we're gonna come into a somatic movement, more into the rib cage. We'll wanna free all of this up first, and then we'll come down to the ribs. So feet out a little wider. This is called our goddess position. We're gonna have our hands on our laps with the fingers in on the thighs, because we're going to be using our hands to take the rib cage side to side. This is a somatic movement, meaning you feel it from the inside out. So I want you to notice which muscles you're feeling stretch and strengthen as we move. The elbows are going to flare out side to side, and we're going to use them to take the rib cage without the shoulders. Shoulders will move, but what we're not going to do is here, see this movement versus this. Good. So it's as if I want to keep my shoulders perpendicular to the floor, like I can touch my rib cage to my upper arm. See the difference there? So I want you to try that. Keep your shoulders right over your ribs, right over your hips as best you can. Press your hand into the thigh as you go side to side. You're going to feel one side compress and the other side stretch. And this is how we get strong in our core. This is how we gain range of motion, so we can turn and see, and we have the mobility to see what's around us while we're driving and just in general. Now, somatically, what do you feel working on the inside? Of course, we feel here in the obliques. How about this front tummy muscles? Yeah. Now in the back, you probably feel those as well. The quadratus lumborum for your lower rib to your hip. Use your hand, press and press, like you're pulling your rib to the side. Few more here. This strength work of the core keeps us independent, because this is what helps move our limbs. And again, just that turning range of motion. Nice. Okay, one more to each side. Now we're going to add on to this. We're going to keep a tall spine. Let's start taking our right ribs to the arm. Now come forward, and then the left ribs to the other arm, and then back. Good. Right ribs forward, left ribs back. Now sometimes we do what's called stir the pot, and we take a cat-cow. That's not what we're doing today. Tall spines. Really keep the Egyptian going side to side, adding in a front, side, back, side. Okay, so healthy for our backs. If we did this every day, we would have a very happy, very healthy back. It strengthens the spine, it stretches the muscles, it gets a connective tissue a nice release, and we've got fluid flooding into the disc. Good. This is very therapeutic. It's like what you would do at a chiropractor's office. Good for therapy. Now pause in the back, and let's go around the other way. Now, touch your forearm, come forward, touch the other arm, and lean it back. Want to make sure you're hitting all 4 points. Good. Front to back, side to side. Really working those muscles. Nice. So oftentimes back pain comes from tightness, and then sometimes it comes from weakness. So we're getting strong and stretch. We need both. Good. Let's take that around 2 times. Just slide around those sit bones. Nice. One more time around. You got it. Now we're going to stay in the middle with our legs open a little bit. What we're going to do is slide our hands from the kneecaps back to the hips and lift up into our cow. Good. And then just open your arms out to the side. Good. And then hands are going to come back to your hips and slide into cat. Curl the tail, curl the chin. And then go ahead and slide your hands along the thighs, squeeze your shoulders back, and just remove your arms behind you. Good. And then take your hands to your thighs and round that forward. Curl, Good. Go ahead and squeeze those shoulder blades. That's going to support the lift of the heart, arms back behind. Good. Hands to your thighs and take the back of the heart back. Good. Inhale, lift up. So this lift up and squeeze, and then the arms behind us, strengthen all those muscles that line our spine. And then the hands to the thighs, curling into a C curve, one vertebra at a time, stretches it out. Do that one more time. Lift up, heart radiating out, arms back behind you, squeeze, feel that effort, and then take that exhale and round and stretch it. Good job. Now coming back through center, heel toe the feet in, and we're going to take the arms overhead and interlace our hands. And again, flip the palms up toward the ceiling. Good. And launch your back ribs off the pelvis. Really lift. And then your side ribs. Get length of your spine. And then exhale, circle out your wrists on the way down. Good. And let's take a little stomping action, a little crisscross for the lymph in there in the armpit. And roll your shoulders, any movement that feels good. We're going to work in our shoulders now. So if you have some kind of really long belt or strap or a towel, a pillowcase, anything you can hold on to, go ahead and grab that. And we'll wait for you to go ahead and grab that. And you can get some water if you already have it nearby while everybody's gathering up what they need. All right, gang, it is getting hot outside. We've had a beautiful cool spring, but the temperatures are spiking. So please make sure you're drinking your water all throughout the day and all throughout class. That water is where the synovial fluid comes from. So we want to make sure we have lots of hydration. We're only going to do each one of these a couple of times. If you have shoulder injuries where you don't take your hands up and overhead, I want your range of motion to instead be from your knees to your shoulders. Okay, and then we're going to take it behind the head. So if that doesn't feel good, you can always come here in the front. So any modification you need to do to be mindful of your shoulders, that's what you'll do. All right, so if you're coming from knee to shoulders, you're going to pause here and hang out. If we're going arms overhead, I'm going to lift my screen just a moment. Good, so you can see me when I lift. We're going to take the arms up. Maybe take your hands out a little wider than shoulders height. Good. So we're just going to take this up and overhead now, and then back. So just as far back as you can. Let's try not to overly back bend. Good, I'm trying to see. There we go. Try not to back bend. So we want to have a nice tall spine, not back bending, because what you're doing when you back bend is calling on your spine versus your shoulders to take your arms back. Good. Now let's lower that back down. So remember, if you need to, your range of motion is from knees, and you'll hang out right here or as high as you can be without pain. Stop just before pain or back bending starts. Good. Now take that back as far as you're able. Now those of you who can are going to take arms wider and come behind. Otherwise you'll come in front. So if you're able to, we're just going to get that big stretch behind. Good. Breathe here. Does not feel wonderful. Gets right up here in the front. The pectoralis muscles that get very tight and stuck that way. And you're working, take it up. The rhomboids in the back. Good. Posture muscles, stretching and squeezing. Ooh, nice. Now we're going to take it either here for a twist or up and overhead, whatever suits your shoulders. So let's start twisting to the right without taking our hips with us. So just turn your chest, keep your sit bones space right where they are, your hips facing forward, and then come through center. Good, and then take it slowly off to the left, hips face forward, nice, sit bones root down. Now we're going to take it laterally. So let's take the left hand down toward the floor. Good, you can also be here if you need to, wherever. I hit myself with the strap. Come on up and take it to the other side. Stretches into the armpit, into the intercostals. Nice, like little doors opening between the ribs. And then release that down. Good work. I know that can be challenging for some, so good job with that. So we're going to take a little break in the upper body. We work neck and shoulders a lot. Now let's get down into the lower body. We're going to use a bit of our core into our back. So what we're going to do is interlace our hands around the left knee. So when we lift the foot off the floor, we're going to get a nice interlace because we will be lifting, lowering our knee. As you inhale, the knee is going to lower and we come back into cow. So we're back into that back arch. And when you lower your knee, lift the chin, lift the heart. So this is cow position. Press your hand into your knee and then exhale and round, knee to nose. Curl the tail, curl the chin. Knee presses into the hands as we lower the knee and lift the heart. Squeeze your shoulder blades back. Open the throat. Exhale, tuck the knee toward the nose. You've got it round in the spine. This is really nice for the low back. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale and round. Long-lasting mobility. Good. Now here, interlace behind your knee. And we're going to start to circle out that ankle. When we circle out, we're going to come back to that analogy of using your big toe to press the dial of a clock, the hands of a clock, round and round. Try to get that full circle. Good. Press that dial. Make the big toe work hard, full circle. Good. And then we're going to come back to center and reverse it. The mobility of our ankles is super important for balance and steadiness on our feet. The stronger the ankles are, the more mobile and flexible they are, less likely we will fall. And they're very neglected, but very, very important parts of our body. Good. Now you're feeling that, aren't you? Now let's go ahead and point and flex through the foot. Again, this gets the fluid in the ankle. It's not a ball and socket joint, but it does have synovial fluid that helps it move fluidly. If you're hearing little clicks and clacks, sometimes that's tendon, but sometimes it's dehydration and we need that water. Good. Now we're going to take the leg out, arms up if we can, and point and flex all the way to the floor, and then slide him back in, but take it out to the side. Here we're going to do like a little hand bone, just an internal rotation, external rotation. This is somatic too. And it just means we're working with the inside of our body, stretching and strengthening. And we want a little pause before we repeat this side. All right, so let's come back, bring that leg back. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So interlace the same leg, same left leg. We're going to lower the knee, come up into the back bend, lift the chin, and then exhale, curl the nose all the way in. Good. Inhale, press your knee into your hands, back bend. And then exhale, use your tummy, come into that C curve. Inhale, as you arch the back, the knee lowers and we push into our hand, and then exhale and round it. Beautiful. One more. Really nice treat for the back. Lift up. Exhale and round it. You got it. Now we're going to come up to a seated position and interlace behind us, and we're back to that circle, as full of a circle as you can. Press that. It helps me to think pressing something around. Power it by your big toe. And we need many of them to get that fluid flowing in there. Good. Now pause and go the other way. Is one direction any easier than the other? Sometimes that's the case. So we want to be really mindful and make sure there's a portion of the circle the ankle doesn't like to go through. Really encourage it through that bit. Nice. Then pointing and flexing. This is, you can see my calf muscle moving. It's pumping blood back to my heart. So if you're like me and have varicose veins and things pool here, that's going to flush it out. The vascular surgeon said, keep that up. Also just fluid here, right? Because it's hotter and it pools here at the end of the day. We want to flush that out. Good. Now take that into cactus and point and flex to the floor. And we're going to bring it back in and then take that hand bone side to side. Good job. All right, now we're going to lift this leg and physically take it in and out. So the foot's off the floor. You can use one or two hands. How does the hip respond to this internal and external rotation? If there's burning sharp sensation, we make it smaller. You may need to skip if you have a replacement or need one. And let's circle it around now. So we always start small, and then if we get the green light, we can go larger. Circumduction, so healthy. Good, go the other way. So moving internally and externally and circling around. The hip is designed to move this way, but we just don't really do that during the day. So we're intentional during class. Nice. Now we're going to take this same left foot right out in front of us and hold on to the chair. And I've just flexed my foot a lot, flexed my foot, and I'm going to lean forward, holding onto the chair, stretching the hamstrings. So see, I want to keep my chin up so it's not tucking. If you have the range of motion and you can pull your toes back, great. If not, just really flex your foot back, toes toward the shin, and feel that stretch right up under your hamstrings. Leading your heart toward your toes. It's a tall spine. Try not to round there. Good. Now come on up slowly. And before we go to the other side, can you feel any difference between the two? The hamstring into the hip. Yes, you're saying good. So let's even that all out. Let's come to the other side. So interlacing around the right knee. Remember, we start by lowering the knee, but lifting hard. And then exhale, curl it all in. Good. Just going to take that whole series now to the right side. Inhale, arch and look up. Exhale, C curve. Let's do one more. Such a treat for the back. Good. And then the ankle circles on this ankle. So this is the one that I have injured, and the more I do it, the easier it gets, but it doesn't like that full circle. So I have to be really mindful to get it to go all the way around and not cheat. Because if I don't, I hate to say force it, if I don't encourage it around, it's never going to increase its range of motion. If there's pain, we don't force it, right? But if we can encourage it, if it just feels yucky or tight, encourage it. Good. Go the other way. Because the ankle is the last place you want sensory motor amnesia, or the last place you want inflexibility for balance. We want to keep the brain and the ankle talking. So the brain's telling it, go that full circle, don't cheat. Good, all the way around. The body likes to take it easy if it can. We have to encourage it. Nice. Now point and flex, get the calf going, get the shin muscles going. This helps keep us from getting shin splints if you're a walker. Really nice in this area and strengthens, boosts that vascular system, strengthens the muscle, gets the fluid going, and then all the way to the floor. You got it. Bring it in, internal and external. This is just our little break before we hit that for round 2. Nice. Okay, so let's interlace again. And then lower the knee, lift the heart, squeeze your shoulders, and then exhale and round it. You got it. Lift it up. Exhale, curl. Use your tummy to bring the knee up. Look up. Lower the knee, press the knee into the hand, and exhale and curl. And just one more. Strengthen the back, and then give it a stretch. Good. Ankle circles again, full circle around. Press that dial around, hands of the clock. Good. And notice if there's one part of that circle that's really challenging, focus in on that. Good. Try not to skip it. Work with it. All right. And then pause and go around the other way. And you might notice one direction's a little more challenging than the other. There is a set part where my ankle just fights and it's not painful. I just have to work with it and tell it, go to that section of the circle. 3 more. Good. And then point and flex. And notice how these are starting to fatigue a little bit. That's good. They're getting stronger. And then this muscle, or the bone itself, is getting stronger too because the muscle's pulling against it. Good. Take it out. All the way down. You're going to take that side to side. And then physically lift the foot up off the floor. Internal and external. How we flow in here. Good. This is important movement for our hip. And then circle it around. This gets the fluid going in the joint too. Nice. It's a synovial capsule waiting to be released, but you have to move for it to be released. Good. And then go the other way. Get the lubrication flowing. The range of motion is always pain-free. So if you need to, back it off. All right, let's stretch that hamstring. So we're going to take the right leg all the way out, hold on to the chair. Good job, and come down. So what we can do is slide all the way down. If you want to keep your right hand on your hip or the chair, you can. Sorry, left hand on your hip and the right hand's on your leg. And if you want, you can take the left hand on top too. And really just keep breathing. Notice where you feel it. If anything's painful, back off. Good. Now we're going to walk ourselves all the way back up. And at the edge of the chair, take a couple of windshield wipers. Nice. That was a really great series for the legs, the hips, the knee, the ankle joint. Now we're going to move through the back a little bit more, see if we can stretch into our connective tissue. So let's float just the right thigh on the chair and step this other part off. So the left leg is going to look like this with the foot on the floor. Only your right thigh on the chair and the hip. The whole left leg is off. The knee, if it needs to be, can be up here. I want you to take this left foot back as far as you feel comfortable and press your hip forward. I'm holding on to the right hand. That's important because the left hand's going to be out in front of us with the palm face up. And what we'll do is take the left hand up and overhead. Really lower your left knee toward the floor, holding onto the chair because we're going to take a back bend here. So you'll lean this back and press your hip forward, feeling that in your hip, into your quadricep muscle. Be careful of your knee. And I just want you to go back as far as you feel appropriate. Good. Now we're going to come back in and hold on to that chair because this left knee, we're going to hug it in like we did earlier, knee to nose. And then step it back as far as you feel comfortable. And then the arms coming up and we're going to lean back. Oh, such a great stretch, knee to the fingertips. There's that netting inside of us gets so tight, it gets us restricted in our movements. Nice. Let's come back into the center and take this over to the left side. So only the left thigh and hip on the chair. The right hip is going to come forward. The foot back as far as you feel appropriate. Holding on with the left hand, right hand out, palm is up. And we're going to lift it toward the ceiling and holding onto the chair so we feel comfortable, leaning back till you feel stretch in your hip and your thigh, but the knee is still happy. Good. Now really hold on. So when we come in, we can take the knee up, hold on to it, stretch in the back the opposite direction. Good. And then put the foot back to the floor. Palm faces up, and we're going to lean it back. Good. Stretch. Press that hip forward. Nice. And breathe. Good job. Let's come back through center. All the way back through center. And some seated cat-cows to kind of realign through that. So hands to the knees. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, curl in. This just helps us set everything back to neutral. Good. And we're going to come to some standing poses. So let's just slide our hands along the thighs a couple more times. Lift the chin and lower it. Good. One more. You've got it. Let's go ahead and grab some water before we come to standing. We'll come to stand behind the highest part of our chair. All right. So we're going to come standing behind our chair. And what I want us to do is find our mountain pose. So you'll be behind your chair and just making sure that your feet are hips distance and parallel. And we have what's called samastiti, where we have equal weight in the right foot and the left foot. Feel your feet on the ground. Good. The toes, the ball of the foot, the heel. And then if you can, if you need to, you can hold on. But if you can, I think most of you are fine to stand up with your hands to your heart. Good. And then just close your eyes for a moment. With your eyes closed, it changes everything. It's really interesting when we take vision out, when our balance just gets a little wobbly, even just standing here. What I want us to do is remove sight and go internally to feel weight in your feet, right? So think about your feet, feel your feet on the ground. Notice the weight with eyes closed in both feet. And then now can you imagine roots growing into the floor out of your feet like a tree? Good. Now that's going to give us security and stature, strength of a tree, roots grounding us in place. Now feel the energy of the earth. The more you can send weight from your hips down into the floor and grow those roots, the more energy, the more gravity rebounds back up your inseam, up through the torso, up to the crown of the head, and to feel the crown of the head reaching toward the sky. Nice. Now open your eyes, take your hands beside of you, and just feel the strength and stability of this pose. Feel the strength and stability in your body, steady and strong. Now from here, I just want you to shift weight from one foot to the other. And usually when we're standing waiting in line for something, we'll have weight on one side over the other. I know I was holding my grandson the other day and I found myself in that position you're not supposed to with your weight shifted into one hip. But keep that nice and neutral and just feel what it's like to have weight shifted into one side and then to the other. Good. Now, aware how the feet are holding and distributing that weight. Now, we're going to add a little subtle small circle. So we're going to come forward to one side and then to the other side. So can we feel the pinky edge, the ball of the foot, the other pinky edge, and the heel as we circle around? Tall spines, and then pause that and go around in the other direction. Good. Just feel the weight shifting, traveling around the perimeter of our feet. Good. And then I just want you to come right back into the center of the feet. Now, awareness, where is the weight here? Are you shifted to one side or the other, or can you find equal weight on both feet? Notice how balanced and grounded you are now. You've established where that weight is. Again, that word is samastitihi. Now we're going to take our chair to the side. Okay, take the chair to the side and move away from the chair a little bit because we're going to lift that leg. So we have our right hand at the chair. The right leg is going to lift a little. So walk away a little bit so you can still be holding on, but you can lift your leg. All right, so play around with that. You've got the chair there if you need it. Back to mountain position. So we don't have the chair in front of us anymore. Let's feel front to back, side to side, right in the center of the feet, okay? And then that neutral pelvis. It's important for balance to find that groundedness and that equal weight distribution. So what we're gonna do is shift weight now into the left foot, the right hand's at the chair. We're gonna take falling tree. You can bend this left knee, lift the right foot off the floor, and we're going to shoot out the left arm. Good. Opposite hand, opposite leg. Now we're either tapping here, or some of you will hover, or some will have hands to the hips. So you choose what you want, but we're going to mix this up a little bit. So what I'd like for you to do is start taking the right foot behind you and the left arm in front. So it's like spinal balance, but the chair is here if we need it. Good. Oh, keep breathing, not holding our breath. See how much core strength this needs? We use a lot of core strength. We're going to come out to the side, a lot of hip muscles that we get into. Lift that up. Nice. And then release that. Stand on 2 feet. We're going to move the chair to the other side. So balance isn't about, oh, I'm just wobbly on my feet. It takes a lot of strength in the body to have balance. So we do a lot of that strength work to increase the balance. So we're going to have our chair handy. Some of you won't need it. Others may be hovering again. We'll stand on the right leg and lift the left. And then once we get that, a little bend in the standing leg, and we're just going to shoot that right arm out. Good. Now here we're tapping, holding, or hand to your hip. You'll choose. Keep the neutral pelvis. Try not to send your tail behind you. Now let's go ahead and start to take the left leg behind us to the degree you're comfortable. And the right arm is going to come out in front. That's our challenge. Keep breathing. Keep the heart lifted. Hand to the chair if we need it. And then we're going to take this challenge back to the side. This is called falling tree. A lot of weight in the right foot. Good job, out to the side. And then release. Nice. So we have to stand right in the center of that foot. to be nicely balanced. Good. Let's take that into ski and just ski out those hips and stretch that out. Nice, wag your tail. And then let's come on up and take some marches. This helps just free up anything that might be tight as a result of holding the leg out to the side. March is great if you have a day where you find yourself sitting for long periods of time. Just gets everything moving. Gets the blood flow, the lymph flow, the synovial fluid flowing. All right, we're going to come into a nice tall position. So let's find that mountain again. You can look at your feet and see that they're as parallel as your hips will comfortably allow. And then root down, so energy all the way down to the floor. And then you'll find length from the waist up. From that length, hands to the chair, and we're going to walk back to our downward facing dog. So you can bend your knees here. Good. You can bend your elbows. Just reach your hips behind you a couple of breaths. We want a nice tall spine. You can inhale and even audibly exhale out like a sigh. Inhale and exhale out of your mouth. Good. Now let's look at the hands again and just walk ourselves all the way back up to the chair. You've got it. We're going to do actually some little half standing sun salutations. So I suggest you have your chair to the side of you. When we do a forward fold and you don't lower your head, you can just come right here. If you have high blood pressure or glaucoma, your forward fold's just here. If you can go deeper, that's fine, but the chair's here in case you need it. You can even turn it around so the seat is facing you, not the back of the chair. So we're going to find mountain position, hands beside of us. When the palms face the thighs, the shoulders are nicely aligned. Good. From here, we're going to root through the feet. From that root, the arms are going to swoop up overhead. Good. And then we're going to exhale. Bend the knees. Take your hands to your thighs, maybe just a little bend, maybe halfway. You can hold on to the chair and touch toward the floor if you'd like. And then we're going to slide our hands up to the knees, make the number 7 with your body, and then exhale, forward fold again. Press to the heels, take your arms out to the side, and then bring the arms all the way up, and then back to your heart. We just have 2 more like that. So let's root through the feet and take the arms up and get extension of our spine. That's called axial extension. And then exhale, bend the knees into your forward fold of choice. Chair's here if you want it. Good. Inhale up halfway. Good. And then exhale, fold, press to the feet. We're powering ourselves back up and overhead. And then we'll exhale the hands back to namaste. One more like this. Inhale, sweep up, get length. And then exhale, let's stretch our backs. Nice. Come up halfway and nice length in our spine. Pull the shoulders together. And then exhale and fold. And then inhale, press to your feet and come on up. Now come back to your feet. You have equal weight. Front and back, side to side. Shoulder roll back and down. We're going to keep that same rootedness of our feet, but change up the position of the feet. So the legs will come out a little wider. I have my heels in and my toes turned out about 45 degrees because we're going to take a little squat. So we have our chair here. You're welcome to put it in front of you. I just want you to be able to see me, so I have it to the side. We're going to either have our hands at our hips, or if we're able to, hands out to our cactus, and we're going to lower and squat, maybe just a tiny one, or maybe a little lower, slide down an imaginary wall, and then shoot out to a big 5-pointed star. Good. Now this time, maybe elbows can come all the way into the rib cage, back to that shoulder plug, and then shoot back up to 5-pointed star. Good. The breath will exhale and lower, and then inhale and shoot back up. So this is strengthening the hips and the knees and the ankles, the areas that we get arthritis, and we're helping support the SI joint of the low back. Good. Inner and outer thighs, the hip stabilizer muscles I was talking about that we need are getting nice and strong as well. This is called a moonflower. We slide straight down, straight back up. Let's take 2 more like that, warming up shoulders, hips, and knees. Good. Now we're going to hip hinge this forward. So you stay where you are. I'm just going to come to the side so you can see how, see, this one's a little different. The last one, we went straight down. This one, we're going to hip hinge forward and come on up. So we're going to imagine we're scooping something off the floor. You can stay way up here If we're not lowering head, we can be right here. We can have one hand to the chair. Good. Or if you have that where you can come lower but keep your heads up, or lower the head. So you play around and choose your range of motion. The arms can be smaller to protect shoulders as well. But again, it just gets the juice in the joints. It warms up the muscles, creates a little heat in our body. And we're crossing at the armpit area. We're getting the lymph system flowing into the groin too. Good. 2 more of these. Good job. Working the joints. Nice. And then arms up and overhead and hands to the heart. Stepping that back in. We're going to take our warrior poses. So let's have the chair in front of us again. The right foot steps at the right leg of the chair and the left foot at that little 45-degree angle. Good. Now let's square our hips to where the right hip pulls back and the left hip is forward. Let's lift the left arm up a little bit and press into the pinky edge of that foot. And then the right arm comes up and track your right knee, second and third toe. Ears and shoulders right over those hips. This is warrior one. Warrior poses encourage strength and resiliency and courage within us. Good, taking up lots of space. We're proud and confident and sure of ourselves. Now hands to the chair, we'll step that forward and kick it out. Good, and then we'll have the left foot at the floor and the right at the chair and the right foot back. Hands to the hips, we want the right hip forward and left hip back, and really press. The reason we press the pinky edge of the right foot is it takes some pressure out of this left knee. So the weight is more distributed equally in both legs. Right arm up first and then the left. You've got it. Big breath in, relaxing shoulders. So they're not hiked up to our ears, they're just relaxed. Good. Lift the whole pelvic bowl up so it's not shifting behind you. Good. And then go ahead and step that forward and shake out. One last little bit of strength work. One of the best things we can do for hips, knees, and ankles is our chair position. So we'll step back from our chair and imagine there's an imaginary chair behind us. So we're going to take a little seat here. And when we have our seat, make sure you're not swinging your sit bones back. We're going to keep our neutral pelvis by pulling the tummy in. You're not tucking, it's just neutral. Good. So it's not swinging back or tucking under, right in between the two. Now we're going to strengthen here in the gluteals because that helps keep a stronger low back. So we're going to take our arms out into an airplane wing. Good. Oh, I know that's challenging. Now we're going to bend our elbows and take hands right to the shoulders and then bring the elbows forward and then open the hands out in front and then touch the elbow or shoulders again and then elbows out. Airplane wings. One more time. Touch the shoulders, elbows forward, exhale, arms out in front, fingers back to the shoulders, elbows out in airplane wings, and then come all the way up. Ooh, that's a lot of work. All right, those arms were just to distract us a little. Now let's come back to our seated position. You've worked so hard. We're going to grab some water. Let's go ahead and take our pigeon stretch. Before we take our hamstrings, we stretched our hamstrings a little earlier, so we're going to do things differently today. We'll crisscross either right ankle over the left, or if we are able, we'll take the right ankle up here on the left thigh. Flexing the right foot, sitting tall, relax shoulders back and down. The heart is just going to melt forward without rounding our back, chin stay parallel, and we'll feel the stretch out here in our hip. What this does is help open up the piriformis, the gluteal muscles, so there's plenty of space for all of those muscles and the sciatic nerve. Breathing here, only coming forward to where it feels like a dull, achy stretch, nothing burning or sharp or painful. Good. So this area can get tight depending on our posture while seated. So we want to make sure that we're getting in here and releasing anything. We've been sitting kind of cattywampus, free up some space for the nerve. We don't want that nerve pain down the leg. If you've had that, you know how troublesome that can be. It's a very important pose. Send your tailbone back, so scoot it back, and then lean forward and breathe. So you might imagine your breath like sunshine and that tight muscle group as a block of ice. And your breath is just melting it. Good. Take a couple more breaths on your own. Good. Releasing tension from the hip. One more cycle. Now we're going to come on up. And those of you who have your leg down here, you're just going to internally and externally rotate. If we're here, maybe interlacing and testing out that range of motion. Not for everybody. Please don't force this. It gets that fluid flowing, and it's just a movement that the hip needs to take every day, if we're okay with that. Now let's turn this one into a twist. So go ahead and let's keep the left hand here, but we're not going to use it to crank, right? It's just resting. And the right hand's going to come and just rest at the hip. Find length first. And I want you to think about taking these left ribs to your right knee. So sit tall, and then without pushing, just guide the ribs. Don't think about using your hands, just the rib. And then look over your shoulder and roll the right shoulder in its socket. So the word vertebra comes from a Latin word that means twist. It's supposed to twist like this every day. Good. We just want to make sure we're therapeutic about it, right? All right, so let's go ahead and come all the way into what's called a gate position. So we're going to lower this leg, take the left leg out to the side. So I'm coming a little more forward over my chair, and I'm just flexing my left foot. The left hand is going to slide inside in the inseam down the leg. Now I'm going to hold on to my chair. I'm going to come in carefully. This left foot is really flexed. I'm just leaning until my body says, you know, that's enough of that. A nice stretch here on the side. If we need to, we hold on. If we can, this right hand comes to the shoulder. Maybe it rests at the head. Or if we can get this big, beautiful side stretch, this is getting back in the back, the quadratus lumborum. That gets very tight from sitting, and it needs to be stretched like this every day. This helps take a full deep breath, because we're getting into the muscle group that works with the diaphragm. Intercostals opening like little doors. Good. Now let's come all the way up and take that to the other side. So let's bring that left leg in. Good. Cross at the right. Nice. Coming forward. And again, first thing is to get in there and release that muscle group. Good. Breathing deeply. Are we switch sides? No. Sorry. Switch sides. Make sure you're doing the opposite side for the first one. Sometimes I get so involved in my cues, I forget what I'm doing. You probably had it on the right side though. Good. And then come on up. So if your leg is down on the floor, just take it internally and externally. If you've got it up here, you can interlace and rock. This is called cradle the baby. Like the little baby, we're rocking it. Notice how that feels in the hip. We don't want any burning sensation. Back out if it does not feel good. Good. Now let's try this twist on the other side. So we always want to start with extension right Set it up first before you start twisting. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Roll the shoulder back and down. And now right ribs come into that left knee. Slowly, 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 without pulling. You can guide and encourage, but don't crank. Look over the shoulder. So we know if we're twisting so much that you're cracking your own back, that's too much. That's for chiropractors. We want to just stretch and lengthen and turn and twist. If you're doing that, you can cause herniated disc and tears in the spine if you're forcing and cracking your own back. So be very aware of that. Less is more in twists. Good. Should feel nice. Nothing extreme. Beautiful job. Now we're going to come on down and take the gate pose to the other side. So we'll extend the right leg out. The left leg is bent. You can hold on to your chair. This is where the right hand is going to slide down the inseam, and I'm really flexing my right foot. So the goal is really to get all on the sideways, but particularly in the back. Now this left hand can come to your shoulder, maybe to your head. If you need to hold on to your chair, feel free. What I don't want you to do is use this hand to press on your knee. So just make sure you're holding on to something where you're not hyperextending your knee. Pull that top shoulder back and breathe. Good, opening up in between the ribs, along the armpit, and then your back. Great job. This is going to make your body feel so much better, opening up the connective tissue. Beautiful. Now coming back up through center, because we were going side to side laterally, we want a few cat-cows. This helps again to realign everything. Oh, good job. Now a little windshield wiper, stretch out the front. And we did some standing forward folds, and now I just want us to do a seated forward fold. So feet out in front of us, let's take our cactus arms like we do in sun salves, and we're gonna lean that forward. Some of you will have to keep your heads up. That's fine. We just rest our chest on the thighs. You can place your hands on the thighs and just keep lowering in until you feel a nice stretch in your back, and that can help by pressing your sit bones down toward the chair. Keep your heads up if you need to, or you can slide your hands and lower your head if you're okay. And we don't have any high blood pressure issues or issues with our eyes. Good. And then coming back slowly, hands to the knees, taking our time, slowly coming on back up. Good. Now we're going to put a couple of these moves that we've done together, all together, in something called the body yawn. So what we're going to do is come to where just the right thigh is on the chair. Okay, and we're going to hold on with our right hand. So the left leg looks like this again. It's down. It's not crazy, so hold on. The left hand, it's going to open up like this, like you're sweeping open, okay? Now, come back to center. While that does that, your front leg is going to come forward. And then it's going to sweep around in a little semicircle while your arm comes back. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. You can just watch it first. And I'm sorry you can't see my leg, but actually I could turn this down so you can see my leg. All right, so what we're going to do is take the hand back and the foot forward. Good. Now, when we come through, I'm going to swing at a little diagonal and reach, okay? So why don't you try that with me? Sit just your right thigh on the chair, left arm is out. Hold on. As the left arm comes back, we're going to step that foot forward and then draw a little semicircle on the floor and lean at a diagonal. Let's try it again. Bring the foot forward, arm comes back, it's a body yawn, and then big semicircle with the foot and then reach at a diagonal. One more time, open this, gets into the netting, the connective tissue, and swing that leg at a little half circle and come back in. How do we do? I know it's challenging when we aren't all in the same room, but you're doing great. So here we go with it. We have just the right thigh or the left thigh on the chair, left arm holds on, right arm out. When we reach back, hold on. Let the foot come forward, stretch, and then a little semicircle, and then reach at that diagonal. Good. And then here we go. Arm comes back, foot goes forward, semicircle, reach. Like think body yawn, arm back, foot forward, stretch, and then semicircle, reach, and just one more. Leg and arm in opposite directions, way out in a big arc. Good. And then back through center. Let's just take knee to nose, stretch that out. Doesn't that feel amazing in the body? Oh, that's our body yawn. And we are at the end of class already. Boy, time flies. Let's just roll through the shoulders, take some breaths. And as we sit back in our chair in mountain position, how does your body feel from head to toe? Can you remember how you felt right at the beginning of class and how you feel now? I hope you feel amazing, and we'll connect again next Monday and try to do a few things like this, just even some cat-cows and stretching your arms open. Do a little yoga every day and your body will thank you for it. Thanks for coming, everybody. Namaste. Hope to see you next week. I'm going to unmute so you can say goodbye.